Okay, thank you so much, everyone. That plan's not gonna work. All right, I think that's the best we're gonna get. Thanks everyone for bearing with us. Should be pretty quick tonight anyway. So we are ready to call the meeting to order whenever you're ready, Chair.
Okay, we'll call the planning commission meeting to order for Wednesday, May 20th, 2026. Do a quick roll call, Megan.
Yes, thank you. What time is it noted on this clock here?
It is 6:11.
Okay. Present, we have Commissioner Bainey, Commissioner Marshall, and Commissioner Doyle in person. On Zoom are Commissioners Derby and Commissioner Wood. We do have all commissioners present and a quorum. Thank you.
Very good. Next item will be agenda review.
So you may see on the agenda under commission business, number 2 is appointment considerations. And as you may recall, the Planning Commission currently has 2 vacancies. We did receive one application that was in process, and that person was going to join us this evening. However, they have chosen to withdraw their application to better understand the charge of the commission before coming in for a formal appointment process. So we will not be doing appointment considerations this evening.
Do we have any public comment this evening?
We have no one signed up for public comment.
Well, we'll jump right into commission business, which is sign ordinance review by staff. So we'll turn the meeting over to you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. So I have prepared a brief memo that goes with a copy of the current sign ordinance. I think the way that this foresee this process happening is the goal from today's planning commission meeting will be to get some general direction from the commission, make sure that the direction that staff is heading is in line with what you all agree with, and also if there are any other changes to language and regulations in this ordinance that you would like to see, this would be a great time to bring that to staff's attention so we can develop language which will be brought back to the commission. Likely in July, we will review some proposed language changes on the sign ordinance and then make a recommendation to council. And as part of amending the ordinance, council will hold 2 readings. So there will be a first reading and a second reading of the ordinance, and plenty of opportunity to chime in as this moves through the potential adoption process. So the way I set this up is to start with areas that are highlighted in green. And the green for me kind of symbolized like we're going to go on this. So this is where we're going to see definitely staff plan on bringing back proposed language changes on the sections that are highlighted in green. And the yellow areas are areas that may be problematic, may have some confusion, but are likely more complicated to address and are also not causing a problem at this time or any burden. So those will be marked for a more comprehensive update at a later time, but they have been identified and like I said, marked for a more in-depth review of the ordinance. And then the red items are to be deleted. The primary objective of this round of amendments to the sign ordinance is to clarify some processes, some specific regulations, specifically around temporary signs and illuminated signs, and also to remove language that is not in legal compliance with the local government's ability to regulate sign content. So feel free to stop me anytime. I'm just going to I'm not going to read this word for word, but I'm just going to kind of go through and call out anything that might be of particular importance. So like I said, feel free to stop me with any questions. Yes, Chair.
23 building official. Person designated by us, by the planning commission. Page 2 of 23. Building official.
Yes, that should probably be removed altogether, I would say.
Please clarify about who's going to do that if there is an individual.
Yeah, I think they are well, okay. Yeah, we'll work on that. I definitely will mark that. Thank you. That it definitely needs change. You are correct. Okay, so yet on the next page there, the first one proposed for removal is discussion about the street clock. That just doesn't seem relevant. Temporary sign. This is part of the impetus of this.
Quickly go back to
Yes, absolutely.
3 o'clock. I'm assuming that doesn't include the clock in front of the antique, the shed antiques, the building.
Well, to this definition, it may, but I don't believe that that is an operable clock out front of the antique shop. I'm not sure.
It can be.
Okay.
I think if he pays attention to it, it does work, but
That's correct at least 2 times a day.
yeah.
Oh, okay, I see.
I like that clocks. I like clock. It looks
Well, it's not saying you cannot have clocks. It's just removing in that the city would regulate clocks.
okay. Okay, that's fine. Thank you.
And so we're okay with removing that
Yeah.
definition? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next section in green is largely about temporary signs. It goes through a whole host of different categories of temporary signs. This is something staff will certainly be bringing back proposed draft language for changes. This touches a little bit on some of what I mentioned earlier about the legal ability for local government or any government to regulate content of signs. So this was a big Supreme Court ruling. And you'll see mention in here like political signs. That's not something that we would be regulating content wise, although that type of sign is the kind of thing you see up during election season. So we'll be doing a refresh on the language related to temporary signs, as well as the last one on the list there, H, which talks about the A-frame and the sandwich board sign, talks about needing to provide pedestrian clearance and only having the sign present during business or event hours, and also not being located further away from the nearest intersection. So the city has yielded several complaints related to the sidewalk being blocked or inaccessible, and those temporary signs kind of expanding beyond what this language provides for, and so to provide some clarity and cleaner language around that process. The next one following that is under general requirements. It's talking about sign permits being processed as a building permit. The language there just isn't quite accurate. Sign permits always require a type 1 land use permit, but they don't always require a building permit. So we'll just be freshening that up. Yes, Commissioner Doyle.
The wall sign. What's the difference between a painted wall sign versus a mural?
That's a great question. So you'll see the definition of a sign at the very beginning of this ordinance calls out that a sign is specific for identification purposes. And then the mural policy has its own definition of a mural, which relates to artwork that is hand done. That's something else that I think it was part of the Supreme Court ruling and how to kind of tease those apart. But yes, essentially, I think my understanding that I've gathered is a sign is related to identification and or advertising. So you could see how those could kind of blend, but that's a little bit of the Okay, so we have a little bit more of the same on the following pages. We're talking about temp signs again. We're talking about exempt signs. Being street clocks, also removing some language related to traffic signs. Traffic signs are largely regulated by their own set of traffic sign code. So that's not something that that our local sign ordinance would need to regulate.
Section 4B, page 5 of 23,
Yes.
sign permits shall be processed, but like building permits, you actually get a permit.
Yeah, so this is what I was saying is that what this actually says right here is not entirely accurate. It's
Okay.
almost the other way around. So sign permits always require a type 1 land use permit. That's where the used to make sure that the sign is in compliance with this ordinance.
Right.
Permit may or may not also be required. Typically, building permits are only required for signs if they are going to be attached to a structure, but not for a monument sign or a freestanding sign. So that's why we're going to update that language. Not that they may be processed as a building permit, is considered a type 1, because that's, like I said, just not entirely accurate.
So the temporary signs, the sandwich boards, etc., those require a permit?
Currently, I don't know that they permitted. No, I think that under this temporary sign category, and that temporary sign, the temporary nature of the sign means that it is exempt from the permit process.
Is there any fee associated with the sign permit?
Yes.
Is there a bond associated with the sign permit?
Bond?
In other words, if you don't meet the requirements or keep the maintain the requirements, that your bond may be used to.
Oh, no, there is no bond associated, but there is a section in this sign ordinance that touches a little bit on, and that's actually something else we're going to be updating. It's about removing abandoned sign.
All right, thanks. Okay.
It's not comfortable.
Is everyone on Zoom doing okay?
Cheers.
Yes, we're good.
Great,
At
thank
least
you.
I'm good.
That's the-
Great.
That one wasn't adjusting. The feet wasn't touching the ground and it was not. This one was fine. Yeah, now I am.
Okay, excellent. So we are just cruising right through here.
So you're in the green, again, you're doing what with them? You're,
Green means we are moving forward with bringing back proposed language changes.
Okay, got it.
So another thing that we're going to look at updating is on page 8 of 23 or page 10 of the packet. There is discussion at the bottom about a conditional sign permit, which some of you may recall, we went through a conditional sign permit process not too long ago with the school. The thing about the conditional sign permit process is it aligns with, it tries to point to the zoning code to follow a conditional use permit process, but the conditional use permit criteria does not quite match up with this. So that is one process that staff will be looking at providing some clarity and some additional additional clarity around how that might work. So again, as we move through the different districts, we're kind of repeating some of the same changes, looking again at those exempt signs, at those temp signs, at those flashing signs. Under supplementary district regulation on page 12 of 23, that is where section 10, it talks about what you just mentioned about obsolete and damaged signs to be removed or repaired. So that language does need and will be proposing some language updates around that process, which currently, as it is listed, is not accurate. Okay, so on to the next page. Section 13 talks about vision clearance and traffic hazards. Want to take a look at this to make sure that it is consistent with our zoning code ordinance, which already provides a definition of the vision clearance triangle. So we'll just doing that for consistency, and also looking at the words prohibited. That may or may not be something that needs to be removed. Section 15 is very much that same issue where it reads obscene matter prohibited, no sign shall be constructed, which bears or contains statements, words, or pictures of an obscene, indecent, or immoral character, such as will offend public morals or decency. That's not something, especially after the Supreme Court ruling, that the government to determine on a discretionary basis or on a subjective basis. Okay, following suit from there, looking at sections 18 through 20, we will be updating those to reflect current construction standards. Another one I want to call out under section 23D, the current language, all illuminated signs are subject to approval by the Planning Commission through the site review process. So some of you may also recall this, maybe Pape out on North Industrial a number of years ago put up a new sign and had to, through the site review process solely for the illumination of the sign. And here this is pointing towards a site review process. But the site review criteria and process do not align with a proposed sign. So I'm sure some of you are familiar with some of those site review regulations. They just really don't match up. And so we are proposing to just have illuminated signs be part of the regular sign process and not flag an additional burdensome, incompatible set of criteria.
Megan, can I go back quickly to section 15 about obscene signs?
Yes, absolutely.
I'm assuming that that's free speech
Yes,
issue.
yes,
With the courts,
yes.
but anybody can sue anybody for anything, anytime, usually. If you
That
know
sounds
about
right.
that.
Hmm.
So I was wondering, does the city have any liability if we don't address the issue with complainant or anything, or?
Yeah, we approve a sign, get a sign permit.
Yeah,
Do you mean if somebody, like if the city approved a sign that later someone else found to
Well,
be
even though. the
obscene?
City didn't approve or do anything about an obscene sign, other than citizen coming in and to the city and saying, I object to this sign, and what's the city's responsibility or liability then? I don't know. I mean, it would, like I said, anybody can sue anybody for anything. It would have to go through a process. Would we be part of that process?
That is a great question. I have made note and will follow up.
Thank you.
Okay, so I think we are somewhere near section 20. Be removed. It talks about signs within setbacks or something that are mostly covered within the zoning code. So we want to provide consistency and a straightforward path forward there. Um, moving to update the language around issuing the permit, kind of like we discussed first, just make sure that that's actually accurate to what the process and what types of permits are required. We will be updating the section on permit fees. We will also be removing the language that talks about the planning commission revoking permits after a certain number of days. There is some additional language in section 37 around enforcement. So that is something we will also be bringing proposed changes to make sure that that is accurate with the other ordinances as well. And in particular, about the planning department and the planning commission being authorized, and that's probably not entirely quite right either. So we'll be bringing back some proposed language changes for that as well.
On the permit application, permit issuance, I'd like to go back to the bond situation, whether or not maybe we could have you and city manager look into that in regards, if the sign is not maintained, not taken down, supposedly it'll be at the other person's expense, but then you have to chase that individual or business down. And whether or not we should have a bond situation where, if the business goes out of business, relocates or whatever, and leaves a sign, then and leaves it to the city to take care of, then he loses the bond. Or the bond is used for the city to cover the expense of taking the sign down. I don't know if that's done elsewhere or anything, but would think that would be.
Yeah, it's something that we can look into. It sounds I'm not sure. I'll do a little poking around, see if any other jurisdictions do something like that. I'm not sure if it would require like a time duration where, does the city, how long does the city hold that money? And the sign's likely not abandoned until quite a number of years later. So that might be a little bit complicated, but definitely something that staff will look into.
Deposit or something.
Yeah.
To cover that, so.
Okay, excellent. Are there any other thoughts from commissioners on what we just discussed or any other areas of the sign ordinance that you feel need attention? And if you're not thinking of any right now, but something comes later, you can always email me anytime.
I'd like to revisit the clock issue. In regards to, it could be used as advertisement. Or meet the, I guess, your definition of a sign, yet be a clock. And so,
Would you like to keep the definition? Or would you like a new definition? Or what part would you like more? What would you like more on?
well, I think it should be in there in some fashion. I think that the fact that if it's, not sure what I'm trying to say here exactly, but if it's, if somebody complained, yeah, you put up a clock and it had advertisement within the clock, that's a sign, but somebody could say, no, it's a clock and you don't address clocks. See what I'm saying? And so, I mean, I think the clocks are fine. I mean, I don't have any issue with it, except if they're rotating or, or flashing or something like that. Well, that's should be something that should be regulated in some manner, since we already regulate flashing and rotating signs. What about a flashing, rotating clock and time for that matter, or temperature, or
Wonderful. Thank you. I've made note of that.
in other words, I'm not against the clocks necessarily. I'm just against. I think they should be, well, should be regulated in a sense just as much as sign is.
I think that's really great feedback. Thank you.
Mr. Wood or Mr. Derby, do you guys have any comments or questions?
I have no comments at this time.
No comments or questions other than
Oh, Commissioner Derby, you went mute just at the last part there when you were saying other than.
sorry about that. No, I thought Chair Marshall was spot on with his call out of the clocks and the and signage. It makes sense that they would both be regulated that way.
Great, thank you. Commissioner Derby said he didn't have any additional comments, but agreed 100% with your comment on the clocks being included as a sign to be regulated.
Thank you, John. Any more things to discuss on the sign ordinance?
That's it for tonight on the sign ordinance. Thank you so much, everyone.
And then as we go through this, and if we have any thoughts, just pass them on to you.
Absolutely, please do. Like I said, this is kind of our initial discussion and staff direction point. Sometime over the summer, likely in July, we'll bring back language for the planning commission to take a look at and either make some changes to or go ahead and make a recommendation forward to council. And then there will readings to amend the ordinance. So I think the goal is hopefully to get all of this buttoned up by maybe next spring or this winter. Yes, there will be plenty of time. I did want to provide just a couple updates from the planning department as well. So Coleman Street, they are going to be largely completed, mostly done by the Tuesday after Memorial Day, and all of the touches like striping and those types of details will be done in about 2 weeks from now. You may have seen a couple things in the city administration report that talk about the Coleman Street project, as well as the new four-ways at the school intersection. We have also been working on a business retention and expansion survey with a hand up.
Yeah, that four-way stop.
Yeah.
You should have put rumble strips before that stop. You know, because so many people are used to going through it. Like my son ran that sign on his way to work one day because he didn't know it was there. Mm,
Yeah, I think it's expected it'll take a little bit of time for people to adjust to that change in the traffic pattern. Thank you.
so just those little cuts in the road,
I like
right before that stop sign would have made a huge difference.
Thank you. I will take note of that.
Even if they were temporary, they put up little temporary ones too, where they just stick them on the.
Like
I
the,
talked to the county about that. And he said,
Always calling attention to it. 'Cause I think the little flags just get lost.
Yeah.
Cause no one looks to the side.
No.
For your visual.
I have a question on the Coleman Street project. A while back last summer or something, there was, I believe, the planning commission was invited to a council meeting or a council work session or something. That issue came up. They were talking about the fire or construction. And I was wondering, at that time, I asked if any of the tough money out of the tough fund was being used on that. You know if there was some?
I don't believe any of the tough money was used on this project. And the reason I'm pretty confident in that is because the project was awarded funding through the MPO. It's federal funds that were used this project. And as part of federal funding, one of the strings attached to that is that something called a certified agency needs to deliver the project. So the reason that the city of Eugene managed the project on North Industrial, the loop path that was just updated, and the repaving that happened there, city of Eugene managed that project. It's a federal requirement for them to be what's called a certified agency. And to kind of help Coburg be able to manage that project ourselves, Lane County was overmatched on a different project that had federal funds. So they swapped local funds with our federal funds so that Coburg was able to use that money as local money and manage the project on our own without a certified agency, because it's becoming really difficult to find a certified agency that has enough capacity to be able to help us out. So that was the source of revenue that was used on Coleman Street project.
okay, thank you. Yeah, cause the tough money in my recollection is dedicated to resurfacing, repairing existing roads.
Yes, I do believe that is accurate. The tough is for maintenance to the local streets. Yes. From what I recall, and this is definitely something that we would want to fact check, but I think that the TUF brings in somewhere around 200 or $250,000 in a fiscal year, which surprisingly cannot do very much in the way of street reconstruction. So that's why it maybe hasn't had as big of an impact as some people might have anticipated. But those funds are building and can be used at the city's discretion for those type of major maintenance updates to our local roads.
Thank you. It can't be used as in kind.
Do you mean as a match for a grant? I would think it could.
About that.
Yeah, that's something I'd probably have to check on also, but my initial take is I think that that money could be used as a match. Yeah, that's a great idea, great way to leverage that extra funding.
ODOT has a lot of money, so take advantage of it, right?
I think possibly another option. I'm not a finance person or anything, and you're taking this out of context. I mean, not out of context, but not your thing to manage or monitor or whatever. Is that if it's that kind of money is being generated now, seems like you could get a bond for street repairs and use that money to offset the bond cost.
Yes, that I cannot speak to very much. I know a little bit about like general obligation or GO bonds. Do typically require like the full backing of the city, right? Like that's how the bond becomes a safe investment. And you know, the city is the budget is stabilizing right now, but there have been, I think that the city's credit rating recently was lowered a little bit because our projected revenues are not as high as what they were, and our debt service is large. So, I'm not sure what the feasibility of a bond would be, but I think it might behoove the city to work on building up the reserves and the ending fund balances before maybe looking at that kind of option.
Yeah.
But I had the very same thought, and I thought, and that's kind of when I a little bit about the GO bonds, and I certainly don't know enough to speak to much more than other than I just said.
Anything on the horizon? Anybody sniffing around for projects?
A little here and there, but pre-app location meeting requests or any types of submittals. So a couple random things here and there, but I'm not sure what we will see next. The housing capacity analysis is moving forward well. We are going to recruit a technical advisory committee, and so that will the committee will review and provide input on a number of different steps the analysis throughout the rest of this year, essentially, and they'll likely have their first meeting in June.
What's the makeup of the technical advisory committee?
Well, not everybody has accepted yet, but there will be a variety of stakeholders, both city representatives, perhaps some folks from the Planning Commission. One city councilor, I believe, was invited, and then a couple business owners and residents in town. A lot of them with some type of land use or community experience. It is a technical advisory committee, which is a little bit different than some of our other committees or public involvement opportunities. So it is really looking at some of these technical components of the analysis. There will also be various opportunities for the public to engage on this project. So There will be a survey that goes out. There will also be tabling that happens at the concert in the park. So probably not every single concert, but you'll see staff out there talking about this project, trying to get people's input. And we will also have an open house, multiple public meetings as we move through the adoption process over the next year. So just a taste that you'll be hearing lots and lots about the housing capacity analysis.
Okay, one other quick question, and I don't know if it's a process question, I guess. When I mentioned firing off emails to you as far as any additional or thoughts or like that, is it proper to CC the chair, or maybe he doesn't want them? That's fine.
The one thing I've been told to be cautious of is the reply all, because when all of the commission is on the email, then it's considered like a public hearing, communication type of thing. I would say what would be best is just email me directly. Anybody that has any thoughts, and then I will summarize, staff will summarize all of the feedback that we get and bring it back and present it. That way, every commissioner has been given the same information. Does that make sense?
All right. Mr. Derby, Mr. Wood, got any comments before we close the meeting?
I have no comments at this time.
All right, I'll take that as a no, and I will adjourn the meeting at 6:51, I believe. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you so much, everyone. Take care.
Y'all have a good week.